Hey there, welcome back to K-Korner, your go-to spot for wild, unbelievable, and absolutely true tales from around the globe. I'm your host, Crown, here to take you on another journey through the twists and turns of life's most fascinating stories. So grab your favorite snack, settle in, and let's dive into today's roller coaster of emotions, drama, and unexpected turns. Remember, if you enjoy our content, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more amazing stories. Let's get started. So I have this family member who seems to think everyone owes her because, well, family. She moved here with her husband and kids to be close to their parents and proceeded to get butthurt because their parents didn't devote all their time to her and her kids, and worse still, didn't spend all their money showering the kids with gifts. My husband and I have recently built a house and it was finally finished in time for us to move in before Christmas. I have a lot of children, some are adults and have moved out of the family home. And the only thing I wanted for Christmas was to spend our first Christmas in our new home with all of our children together for the first time in years. They always come and visit around this time of year, but with spouses, work, and other obligations, we haven't been all together at the same time for years, and especially not on Christmas Day. But this year my wish was granted and I was Buddy the Elf excited for Christmas this year. Last Christmas, an entitled family member shared a sob story about being alone and dreading a miserable Christmas. I sympathized and invited them to join us. However, upon arriving, they quickly consumed all the cocktails, drinking them one after the other. They spent their time complaining about the heat and criticizing other family members. After eating, they just left. Honestly, I wasn't too bothered. I was dealing with a migraine and cooking in 40 Celsius heat, so I didn't have the energy to care much about this behavior. I have been talking about my plans for Christmas this year for months, moving into the house and having all my kids home. The entitled family member had plans of their own. They were all heading out of town and visiting other family members over Christmas. All is well, no issues, no problems. Well, if that were the case, I wouldn't be here now, would I? Christmas Day rolls around and as planned I had all my kids home. And all the adult kids' significant others. It was a fantastic day. After Christmas dinner, I got a text message saying we're no longer family. Obviously, I reply, what the hell? And I got a response saying, we're not family anymore. She's done. Insert threats of self-harm and hopes I have an amazing life. I had absolutely no idea where all this was coming from, but I guess in a warped mindset that is entitlement, it all made sense to her. After a lot of back and forth trying to figure out what the problem was, turns out their Christmas plans fell through and they had to come home before Christmas. Apparently, I'm a massive jerk because I don't spend all my time stalking people on social media and therefore didn't know they had returned home. I'm an even bigger jerk because I didn't invite them to my house for Christmas Day. I've been very clear in the leading up to Christmas. I know the entitlement runs deep with this one. And I had said multiple times as Christmas was the first Christmas in my new home, it was being spent with all my children. No one else. No extended family, no friends, just me, Hoppy, our kids, and partners. At one point after asking what the problem was and getting no closer to an answer, I came straight out and said, is this all really over the fact I spent this Christmas with my kids and didn't invite you and your family this year? Turns out that's exactly what the problem was. They'd had to come back home for whatever reason. She's ostracized herself and her family from the rest of the extended family, so they spent their Christmas in their own home with just her hubby and kids, while I was making the most of my day with my hubby and my kids, and it hurt her feelings that my adult children had their long-term partners here as well. Apparently my kids' partners aren't family because being in serious monogamous relationships for years means nothing, and she's blood, so she should have been invited. Am I missing something here? Where in the rule book of family does it say that I have to invite every man and his dog to my home for every special occasion? Where does it say everyone else's happiness is my responsibility? How do seemingly normal people build a mindset of the whole world owes me? It was a somewhat windy Monday when all of this happened. I was on my way home from work that day after taking a slight detour to the nearest Walmart to do some quick shopping. I picked up what I came here for, then headed to the checkout line. And that's when I started hearing some ruckus coming from the back of the store. It was some female shrieking that could easily be identified by many shoppers around this area. It's a no-brainer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Karen in the building. I tried to hear what was going on exactly, but I failed as it was somewhat farther in the back. But when I was about to leave with my groceries, I saw a woman dragging her cart and some poor employee was her near the checkout area where she found herself a suited-up manager and started complaining a bit about some other customer taking the last item on the shelf before she did, and that she wants her item back plus that customer fired and banned from the store. At that moment, I realized she was a level 10 Karen, and I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible before things got uglier, because normally that's how it works and that's how it ends. After I was done with my shopping, I headed into the parking lot, and there I really struggled to get into my car simply because some idiot was parking his car right next to mine without leaving much room for me to open my car door to get in. Even though there are many vacant spaces around the lot, you didn't have to do that to me. Anyways, not wanting to annoy the hell out of myself or waste so much time trying to search or wait for this other car's owner to come and move his car a bit, I managed to squeeze myself in and started driving home. As I said earlier, it was getting a little bit more windy for my liking, but at least I didn't have any appointments later that night, and thankfully I could stay inside for the remainder of the day. As I was nearing my neighborhood, I started seeing huge pillars of black smoke rising in the sky. I got extremely worried as I practically live at the end of the street I'm currently driving towards, and it clearly looks like there is a nasty fire somewhere near my house. My heart dropped and proceeded to beat very fast as I started to overthink horrible stuff, since I'm leaving my beloved wife and our newborn baby in our house. But shortly after, I couldn't help but let out a massive sigh of relief, as it was clear to me now that it was not my house on fire. I quickly called my wife to check on her and made sure she and our baby were safe. Then I decided to park my car in a side street nearby and headed for where the smoke was coming from. A quick note, my parents died in a car accident when I was very young, and I was raised by my uncle and aunt. They were the best people and they did their best to raise me properly. One of the things they taught me and made sure I embraced from a young age is to help others whenever I had the chance, even if they were not related to me, even if I didn't even know them. Rule was, if you can help someone out, then stick around and do it without expecting anything in return. Hence why I headed towards the area where the fire was. I don't know what I could help with. I have no idea if the firefighters were there yet or not, but all I know is that I'll try to help out with whatever I can, but of course without being a burden on the professionals doing their job. Thankfully, when I reached my destination, I found the fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars filling the street. Everyone was occupied and trying to do their best to get this fire to die down. And from asking bystanders, I knew that at the moment, the house was empty and that thankfully no one was injured or still stuck inside the house on fire. As I mentioned earlier, it was getting annoyingly windy and we were just standing there hoping for the firefighters to be able to contain the fire before it spread to the nearby houses and made a bad situation a lot worse. After some time and right when things started feeling like going in the right way, I hear some loud tires screeching. Look over and lay my eyes on an oddly familiar car. I tried to remember where I saw this car before, but before I realized it was the same car that parked right next to mine in a Walmart parking lot, a familiar angry face gets out of it and starts moving towards the fire trucks. It was Karen, the one from before at Walmart. A cop stops her and asks her to stay away for the time being until the situation settles and the fire is contained. But she starts shouting back at him to move these fire trucks from where they are, all so she could park her car in front of her house, a house next to the burning one, and quickly stock the ice cream she bought into her freezer before it melts down, especially with all this heat around. I couldn't see the cop's face from where I was standing, but I'm sure his jaw dropped just like mine did, at how self-centered this woman was. The house next to yours is on fire, and you're pestering the cops about how the heat from the fire is going to melt your ice cream, and also get rid of the fire truck so you could park your car where you usually do? Are you for real? The cop tries to calm her down, but to no avail, especially after he explains to her that they can't do that right now and that she's going to have to wait. After screaming and shouting more and more about her house, the ice cream, and parking space, eventually she just huffs and stumps right back to her car like a little child throwing a tantrum. And at that moment, I thought she accepted the fact that there is no going into her house right now or even parking her car near it. She gets inside her car, turns the engine back on, and presses the gas pedal as hard as she can, bolting her car into the stay-away zone and crashing into the nearest fire truck, while barely missing the police officer that told her off after he managed to jump out of her way when he saw her car moving. After that, it was just a fiasco. Cops and EMTs were running towards her car, getting her out and placing her hands behind her back and cuffing them, while she kept screaming some nonsense about ice cream and getting them all fired and fined for parking in her parking space. Thankfully, the firefighters near the fire truck that she crashed into weren't harmed. However, I saw the EMT standing to the cop that jumped out of the way before getting run over. Clearly, he injured his elbow or arm, but I'm not entirely sure if she hit his arm with her car or he just injured it when he landed on the ground. After another hour, the firefighters managed to contain the fire and eventually it died down entirely. Later, I learned that this crazy Karen was facing some serious list of charges that was topped with assault and battery on a police officer, and last I heard, she was hit with 5 years in prison. But I'm not quite sure if it stopped there, to be honest, as I dropped following her case since I got busier later on. I don't really know what was going on inside her crazy head doing what she did, but overall I'm glad she got what she deserved. Someone that mental is better off being locked inside a prison cell and away from people. It all started when I moved to a new town. I was excited to start fresh, meet new people, but things didn't go as smoothly as I had hoped. I quickly realized that there was a group of people in my neighborhood who were cliquey and exclusive. They had their own little circle of friends and they made it clear that they weren't interested in letting anyone new in. At first, I tried to be friendly and make small talk with them when I saw them around, but they always seemed to give me the cold shoulder or even outright ignore me. It was frustrating and hurtful, but I tried not to let it get to me. One day, I was walking my dog in the park when I overheard a conversation between two of the clique members, Sarah and Rachel. "I can't believe that new girl keeps trying to talk to us," Sarah said that. "Like, we have better things to do than hang out with her." Rachel snickered. "I know, right? And have you seen the way she dresses? So basic." I felt my face flush with anger and embarrassment. Who were these girls to judge me based on my clothes and try to exclude me from their group? I decided then and there that I was going to get revenge. Over the next few weeks, I kept a low profile and observed the clique's behavior. I noticed that they were really into social media, constantly posting pictures and stories about their outings and adventures. I also noticed that they were very competitive with each other, always trying to one-up each other and prove who was the coolest and most popular. I came up with a plan. I created a fake social media account and started following the clique's account. I made sure to interact with their posts in a way that seemed supportive and friendly, but also a little bit mysterious. For example, if Sarah posted a picture of her and Rachel at a trendy new restaurant, I would comment something like, "Looks like you guys had so much fun. I wish I could have been there." It was just vague enough to make them wonder who I was and why I wasn't invited. Slowly but surely, I started to gain their attention. They started following my account and liking my posts. I made sure to post pictures of myself doing things that seemed cool and exciting, like hiking in the mountains or attending a music festival. I also started dropping hints that I was friends with other cool people in the area. For example, I posted a picture of myself at a party with a group of people and captioned it, "So lucky to have such amazing friends who always know how to have a good time." I could tell that the clique was starting to get curious and maybe even a little bit jealous. They started messaging me more frequently, asking if I wanted to hang out or come to their events. At first, I played it cool and made excuses for why I couldn't hang out with them, but eventually I agreed to meet up with them at a popular coffee shop in town. When I arrived, I could tell that they were a little bit nervous and excited to finally meet the mysterious new girl who seemed to be friends with everyone. They greeted me with awkward smiles and invited me to sit with them. We made small talk for a while, and I could tell that they were all trying to impress me and show off their coolness. But I didn't let on that I was anything other than friendly and interested in getting to know them. After a while, Sarah suggested that we go to a party that one of their friends would throw in that night. It was going to be so much fun. We have to go, she said. I pretended to hesitate for a moment, then finally agreed. Okay, sure. Sounds like a good time, I said with a smile. As we left the coffee shop and started walking towards the party, I could tell that they were all buzzing with excitement. They chatted excitedly about the party, the people who would be there, and the cool things they were going to do. But I had a surprise in store for them. When we arrived at the party, I made sure to keep a low profile at first. I chatted with a few people, but mostly just hung back and watched the clique as they flitted around the room trying to be the center of attention. But then I saw my opportunity. I noticed that one of the clique members, Rachel, had left her purse unattended on a couch while she went to get a drink. I quickly snatched the purse and slipped into a bathroom, where I rifled through its contents. I found what I was looking for, Rachel's phone. I quickly opened up the group chat that the clique had been using to plan their outings and events. Then I sent a message that would change everything. Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know that I'm actually the same girl that you guys were trying to exclude from your group, and I've been playing you this whole time. I waited for a response, feeling a little bit nervous about what would happen next, but then the messages started flooding in. What? You've been tricking us this whole time? Why would you do that? We were just trying to protect our group. I can't believe you would do something like this. You're such a fake. I sat back and smiled to myself. It was all going according to plan. Over the next few days, the clique members started reaching out to me, begging me to explain myself and apologize. But I just laughed it off and said that they had gotten what they deserved. You were so quick to judge me and try to exclude me just because of the way I dressed or talked, I said to them. You never even gave me a chance to show you who I really was, so I decided to teach you a lesson. The clique members eventually gave up trying to get me to apologize or explain myself, and in the end, I felt like I had won. I may have played a little bit dirty, but I felt like I had shown them that it wasn't okay to judge people based on superficial things, and maybe, just maybe, they would think twice before excluding someone in the future. As for me, I felt like I had finally found my place in the town. I had shown that I wasn't afraid to stand up for myself and get a little bit of revenge when it was warranted. And maybe, just maybe, I had made some new friends along the way. Edit for clarification. When I posted my pictures on that fake account, they didn't seem to recognize who I was because maybe in their minds, someone as plain as me wouldn't go to such amazing places and do the exciting things I did in the pictures. Another thing, Rachel threatened to file a police report for snatching up her purse, going through her stuff and using her phone without her permission, but she didn't go through with it thankfully. I didn't really think this part through, and it was a bad move on my behalf. But oh well, I'm pity that way. Wow, what a ride that was. Thanks for joining me here at K-Korner. I hope these stories left you amazed and entertained. If you've got your own tale to share, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our daily adventures. This is Crown, signing off.